You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. Everyone who has been following the case against R Kelly certainly knows Jim Derogatis, the journalist who made it his job to fight the R&B King, and is rumored to have made millions of dollars off a book entitled Soulless that he published in the same interest, and that is to degrade R. Kelly and hope to finish his job of taking him down. It is not yet known who is paying him to do this, but paid or not paid, Jim Derogatis has been cashing in through hating on Robert. The strange part of his involvement in R. Kelly affairs though is that he hasn't been straightforward with his statements on the subject, and until today, the world has failed to believe his story in which he alleges that the said tape evidence he gave to the federal government to use against R. Kelly was delivered to him by an anonymous sender into his mailbox. While he so much believes it was R. Kelly on the tape, and that the tape was authentic, he claims he doesn't know where it came from and who delivered it. But strangely, despite this mystery, the court was able to use this as admissible evidence against R. Kelly. Following the trend of events in the Chicago trial that saw R. Kelly win on 7 out of 13 counts, among which was the obstruction of justice charges that Derogatis badly wanted him to lose, and the subsequent 19-year sentence that Judge Lyman Weber felt should be served concurrently with the already ongoing 30-year New York sentence, he now realizes R. Kelly is likely to make it through and regain his freedom, and this is causing him to panic. Derogatis so much wants to see R. Kelly remain in prison for the rest of his life, so that his book that typically monsterizes him can remain relevant and sell millions of copies, putting even more dollars into his bank account. It looks like while everyone is busy working hard to achieve the American dream, Jim Derogatis is looking to make it the easy way off mudslinging the R&B King. Shame on him. In an interview with WGN News, the dissatisfied journalist expresses his disappointment in the Chicago federal government prosecutors, who he says had 3 years to prepare for the case but still failed to pin down the R&B King. And indeed they had a whole 3 years to concoct charges and fake evidence while R. Kelly was in prison, unable to freely meet with his attorneys under the excuse of the COVID-19 pandemic, but guess what? The truth will always prevail, and so he still managed to challenge the government on the majority of the charges against him. Of course, Jim Derogatis would not be very happy with the outcome, but knowing that the whole case is a fraud, he still celebrates the 6 counts that managed to fall for the government, forgetting that the 3 for enticing and coercing were still smuggled in by the judge, who chose to adamantly ignore what the indictment said. If this had not happened, Jim Derogatis would only be having 3 counts to celebrate. What's even disturbing the most about Jim Derogatis is that while he claims to be ashamed of the Chicago federal government attorneys, he himself wasn't willing to take the stand and testify, and hopefully explain the genesis of the so-called tape evidence he provided. When asked why he didn't show up when called upon to testify, he is quick to give all kinds of excuses, as though to suggest he is immune to being subpoenaed, and that this would ruin the freedom of the press. In other words, Jim Derogatis suggests reporters are not obligated to verify the sources of the information they publish. But again, evidence from unverified sources cannot be admissible to be used during prosecution. Take a look.
Jim, the government wanted you to testify. Why didn't you?
Oh, no, not the government. His longtime business manager, Daryl McDavid, who was acquitted today, wanted to show me, his attorneys, show me a videotape. Is this the one that was left in your mailbox in February 2002?
Why didn't you, though?
Because it was an unmarked tape. I've written that 100 times, and I've written in my book, Soulless. How was I going to...
While Jim Derogatis is still expressing his disappointments in the Chicago process, he needs to remember that R. Kelly now has a fighting chance and he will soon be a free man again. The Brooklyn trial process, which he credits in this interview, lacks a foundation of evidence to support its convictions, and sooner than later, the 10 guilty verdicts will be overturned to leave nothing for the now unpopular journalist to celebrate. According to Monica Backstrom, Jim Derogatis needs to find a hiding place early enough before the walls of justice close in on him. R. Kelly is headed towards victory and there is nothing he can do about it. When he was still expressing his disappointments in the judgment, crying over the 7 lost counts, then came the sentencing, which made it clear that he has a fighting chance, and given he now has proper legal representation, he stands to win his appeal and return to freedom. The disgruntled journalist needs to understand that the truth will always prevail, and no matter how much he tried to mudsling the R&B king calling him the predator he will never be. The time is coming when he will overcome all this and once again become the free man he was born to be. According to Ray Johnson, I feel R. Kelly is focusing so much on the Bureau of Prisons officer, and yes, this needs to be looked into, but I feel an investigation on Judge Ann Donnelly would prove more important for his case, considering she has been very instrumental in his case, and is the one responsible for putting R. Kelly in a very difficult position. The way she computed through to come up with 30 years for a sentence, and how quickly she was to demand that R. Kelly pays restitutions was so unfair for a judgment. She also made sure not to give an opportunity for the possibility of being released on parole. Not even after 10 years. Whatever she was trying to achieve was rather so deep. If it has been possible to issue a life sentence on such a case, I am confident that is what she would have chosen to give R. Kelly. She seems to want R. Kelly out of action more than anyone else. Meanwhile, remember, if you were at a funeral and a stranger to the deceased cried more than the bereaved, the stranger is the #1 suspect likely responsible for the death. She seemed more interested in punishing R. Kelly hard than the alleged victims themselves. The investigations should focus more on her for this reason. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sasha@lfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.